What is up, all of you awesome and amazing people on YouTube? The Old Coot here, coming at you with another exciting video. I'm going to try to keep this as short and sweet as possible. This is part 2 of our Pan de Spagna recipe for light, fluffy Pan de Spagna, or Pane de Spagna, which is a traditional Italian cake or dessert that's light, airy, very similar to angel food cake or like a sponge cake. What I've done is I've done this recipe for decades. This is what works for me. I had someone who I gave the recipe to, they modified it in their own way. They left stuff out and it just didn't come out the right way. And they wanted me to do a video of exactly how I do it. Insanity is when you do something over and over again, expecting in the same way, expecting to get a different result. And they were just butchering my recipe. So that's why we're here. That's why we're doing this. Anyways, with that being said, this is how their cake came out. And as you can see, that the eggs basically burst, like the bubbles burst, and everything settled to the bottom of the pan. And that's why you get all this heavy denseness at the bottom of the pan. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the recipe the way that I do it, so that person watching this video can see the way I do it. And hopefully they'll get a nice spongy, nice airy, light, fluffy pan de Spagna cake, which is basically, like I said, like an angel food cake, kind of like between an angel food cake and a sponge cake. So here we go. So in the last video, in videos part 1, basically I showed everybody what the ingredients were. So we're actually going to do this now in real time. We're going to go through and I'm going to talk you through the whole step. The basic ingredients are, you're going to need 8 eggs. You're going to need 1 lemon and the zest. We're just going to be using a teaspoon of this lemon juice. You're going to need 250 grams of sugar. Granulated is fine. You could use powdered as long as you weigh it out, 250 grams. Then we're going to need 1 full teaspoon of vanilla extract or vanilla bean paste. This is from Vanilla Bean Kings, great company. We're going to need 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Then we're going to need 50 grams of flour. You could use all-purpose. You could use whatever. I like to use Kyrol type flour, or like a high protein flour, so that it helps to act to bind the whole cake together. And then the star of the show is really the cornstarch. The cornstarch is what makes the cake light and airy. And then we're going to be putting as well 1 teaspoon, a full teaspoon of baking soda, just to ensure that we get a nice light airy rise. If you want to leave this out, it's completely fine. Just know that you're going to get a more dense cake. Like, it's not going to rise as much. It's the chemical reaction between the baking soda and the lemon that helps to lift the cake, right? Some people, if you are going to leave this out, you do need to put something in there though, such as cream of tartar is a good idea. Or just if you were in Italy, they use fecola, which is basically like a potato starch. So if you leave this out, you need to put in something, either cream of tartar or like potato starch or something, just to help to bind everything together. So anyways, with that being said, let's go ahead and get our eggs in our mixer. The tools being used today are going to be a Kitchenaid 6-quart bowl lift stand mixer. You could use the hand mixer as well if you want to, it's totally fine. You are going to need a good digital scale, which is very, very important because you're weighing stuff. You want to make sure you get it right. You're also going to need some measuring spoons, right? You're going to need a silicone spatula of some sort or some kind of scraper to get everything into your bundt pan. And one of the other stars of the show is our bundt pan itself. Let me show you all real quick. This happens to be a Nordic Ware original, like a Nordic Ware bundt pan. So there's the original bundt. And I will put links down below in the description section to everything that I'm using today, the tools, you know, as much as I possibly can. You're also going to need some kind of sifting device to sift your flour with the cornstarch with the baking soda together. It's always a good idea to have a couple bowls on hand just to make sure you can transfer things very easily. And also some kind of rasp or something just to get the peel off of the lemon. We're going to show you how to do that. This particular one happens to be from Italy. I tried finding a couple links. I'll see if I can find another link to see if I can find this exact same company. But you just need a good quality one. Oxo Good Grips makes one, but basically you get the idea. And then everything else will just come into place. So let's go for it. So here we go. We're actually going to start making this now. What I want to do is I want to get my eggs in there first. So 8 eggs, right? These were at room temperature. Make sure you take your eggs out at least an hour before you start making your cake. And the reason why is If the eggs are at room temperature, it's a lot easier for them to volumize, meaning you're going to incorporate air easier into the cake that way. So 8 eggs is at room temperature. We're going to go ahead and crack these in. And of course, just now, my gardeners decided to cut a tree in my humble apartment complex outside my building. But let's just keep going because that's how we roll. So here's number 2. And I can feel just with my hands that the eggs do feel like they're at room temperature, which is around like 68 to 72 degrees or 65 to 72 degrees. That's fine. There's no need to like put them in the sun or anything. Just make sure they're in, or that you leave them out on your counter. Don't leave them on the counter because the countertops tend to be cooler. I just like to leave them in the egg crate itself. That way they warm up to room temperature at a nice slow pace. So at least 1 hour. Okay, so anyways, there's 4. Here's going to be 5. Let's see, I'm trying to stabilize my Snorri cam. By the way, if you're curious what kind of camera rig I'm using, my cell phone is in what's called a Snorri cam, which is basically like a device that goes around your body and kind of holds the camera so that you can use both hands. Woo! There you go. And I'll try to find a link to that as well to put down below the description section, just so in case you're a YouTube star on your own, you're trying to, get that thing going. There you go. So there's my eggs. Eggs are done. There's 8 eggs in there. Now what I want to do is I want to get my lemon juice going. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to what I want to do is I want to measure out 1 teaspoon. Right, there we go. 1 teaspoon of lemon juice that I'm going to be putting in there. So let me go ahead and just squeeze. And squeeze away, a little delicate process. There's a seed. That's why I do this away from the bowl. That way, in case you get a seed or 2 in there, you can just pluck it right out. If you have good, clean hands, that works too. Okay, I think we're good. Okay, that's about good enough for me. So this is going to go into the party, right? And then I should have zested before I squoze. See? Real world problems call for real world solutions. So here's going to be my zester. Very, very important when you zest. What I like to do is I like to zest from the top so that I can see what I'm doing. A lot of people do this kind of thing and you can't see that you're digging into the pith. The white part right there, the outer edge white part, that's what makes the cake bitter. So what you want to do is you want to avoid that. So what I want to do is just scrape from the top and just a little bit at a time. And let's get this sucker going. Is anything coming out? Fuck.